All right, you are now tuned into the Rotated Views podcast. I am your host, Jimmylee Velez. I am here with Gabe, Heck, Manny, and Georgie, auto mechanic. In this episode, we have special guest Jorge Vasquez. We cover topics that range from repairing cars, inspections, customer service, tools, automobiles of the future, and much more. We wrap the episode up with quotes from Steve Jobs and John Wooden. Guys, if you're new, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to download and subscribe. We drop a new episode every Tuesday morning for your listening pleasure. Kicking things off, George, thank you for joining us, man. We appreciate it. We say it to all of our guests. We know you're taking time out of your day, especially out of busy schedules. And thank you for coming on board and joining us.
Inviting me.
Absolutely.
Pressure.
So for those of us who do not know who you are or what you do, let us know.
Jorge Vasquez, George, call me George. People call me Chico. From Levittown.
Yeah.
Been in Levittown for 32 years. I started the automotive business since I started learning.
Yeah.
I learned maybe when I was 15. I opened up I had a car in my backyard that my dad had, and it wouldn't run. So I bought a magazine, a repair manual, and started going through the diagnostics until I fixed it like 6 months later.
Wow.
What kind of car was it?
It was a 82 Rabbit.
Nice, Volkswagen.
Yeah.
You're familiar, Heck.
That's classic. Goose had, actually, my brother Miguel's first car, wasn't his first car?
His first car was an 81 Volkswagen Rabbit.
Volkswagen Rabbit.
Yeah.
Silver with blue interior.
The bumper on these things were like a bench. You could just sit down on.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing.
Matter of fact, that me and my best friend Tony learned how to drive stick in that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Goose's was stick too, wasn't it?
Without a license. It was fun.
Yeah, we did it too.
Like it was a go-kart without a license. It was fun.
Well, I fixed it, and I didn't tell my dad I fixed it, so we used to push it out, drive it, and bring it back and put it in the same spot in the lawn where it was marked.
That's great.
And so from there, obviously, you found your passion. You just kind of knew you had a knack for it. It was more.
Well, yeah, but my friends started bringing me their cars, and I used to buy the books. So I used to read the manual, how to do it, and it was working. And I was making money.
Yeah.
Wow.
Then after high school, I went to Lincoln Tech for my business and automotive career and started working on my own.
All right, so what was after that? So once you get your degree or whatever, your certifications, what was your first, job with that?
I got my first shop when I was 19.
Nice.
And then, I was still learning and reading books still. And from there on, then I couldn't keep up with it because I had a lot to learn.
Yeah.
And I had no money.
Yeah.
So I started working everywhere.
Yeah.
I used to go 6 months to one place, 6 months to another, but I was learning every different things. I would go to a transmission shop, to an engine shop, to an exhaust shop, and just keep learning.
Nice.
Yeah.
Because what's tricky, right? I mean, it's certain, shops specialize in specific cars, right?
Yep.
Obviously, did you work for like an actual dealership?
I started to, but there wasn't my time. I always wanted to do my own thing.
Yeah.
So I couldn't, because at a dealership, you got to grow.
Yeah.
So you got to start from changing oil.
Right.
So you're not going to be making money right away.
Right.
And I wanted to make money right away, so started learning on my own.
So there were shops. I remember growing up, like you would pass by, whatever, like your typical mom and pop, mechanic shop. But then there was guys who would specialize in just European cars. What was, did that ever intrigue you, or were you just kind of that didn't matter really?
I wanted to learn everything.
Yeah.
From electronics to bodywork to engine, speed, everything. So I got into everything, to different shops.
So what do you think your fascination was with it? That you could fix something, or the accomplishment that you fixed something?
I love it, man. This is my hobby. It's my passion.
Yeah.
And I get paid for it.
Yeah.
And, it's my second home.
Yeah.
I go to my other house, sleep, feed them, and go back to where I make money. It was my life.
So there's an interesting thing I started to notice within probably the past 10 years. It's probably been longer, but let's just say for the last decade. That when you go to a mechanic, I've just noticed it, and again, it might have happened prior to this. A lot of these guys are wearing rubber gloves, where before I remember just the classic dude that would have that little blue towel in his back pocket, and you pull it out, kind of rub his hands together. He was done. He's talking to you, or it's like a red rag that had like black oil all over it, and he's explaining what the heck's wrong with your car and how he fixed it and whatever, and what he's going to charge you. Right? It's just like a classic look in my mind right now.
Almost like a badge of honor, like the dirtier hands where it's like
on his chest was like his name stitched in like a Dickie shirt. You know what I mean? It was just classic. But now it's like they're in like this weird uniform or something, and they have like gloves, and it's like a whole. I don't know if it changed in a good way. I don't know what it is, but it's different.
I tried the gloves to keep the nails and the hands clean. Yeah. But they rip and you just keep going and.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it don't. It's a waste of money. Hey, my hands are roughed up. I'm a mechanic, you know.
Yeah. So being a mechanic, I know this. It happens with every trade, right? So like my brother's a barber. You know, he owns Miguel's Riverside Barbershop, and if someone needs a haircut, you'd be at like a family party, like, oh man, you think you can shape me up? Do people do that like while you're at a party or something? Like, yo, can you look at my car real quick? You know, there's something wrong with it.
Sometimes, I guess when you go to barbecues and the cars are all out, they'll be like, oh, check out my car, it's making this noise or something, you know. Yeah. You're a family reunion, you know, you share. Yeah. But yeah, it happens.
Right.
More than you'd like to acknowledge? Is it like annoying sometimes?
It's not. I love this.
Really?
To me, you know, we talk about cars all day.
Really?
We'll work on a car all day. I go help you with your car.
Wow.
You know, I'll open my shop. So you got a race car or a Jeep, and you want to do something? Yeah, man, I just got a bumper. Yeah, I'll help you. Come on. We go after I close. Come up. We both put the bumper on.
Oh, good. After this, I got a bumper we can put. So this is one thing I'm always fascinated by. In your opinion, pound for pound, what is the best car out there?
The best car nowadays, the old ones. I'm not into classics,
like muscle cars or anything.
Yeah, because I wasn't alive for them.
Yeah.
You know, when I came into this, I was driving 80s and 90s. Yeah. And imports. Right. So I'm like more into imports, but some classics that I see is nice, like the 69 Camaro. That'd be nice, but I can't say I know a lot about them because it wasn't during my time. Yeah. You know, but like when it comes to imports from the 80s and the 90s, that's how I started. So
what, like a Honda Civic?
Yeah, damn Civic, Mazdas, Toyotas.
So I know one thing that fascinated me when, you know, my car, you know, broke down the last time it broke down, my wife's car actually, and then we're done with it and we got a new car. But the tow guy who came and picked us up, we're just having normal conversation, and he was a really cool like guy. Like I don't know why we started talking, but we connected, and I was asking him like, this truck, like your truck looks new, but it looks old. Did you put like new fiberglass like on the front or whatever? It just looks, it's weird because the wheels look super old. He's like, nah. He's like, well, it's technically old for the towing world, but it has like low mileage. I'm like, well, what's low mileage? He's like, yeah, it only has like 250,000 miles on it.
That's
and
diesels.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And I'm like, it only has 250,000. Yeah, these things go up to like 600,000 miles. They're built for that. Right. And it was just like an amazing thing. So I'm like, all right. So like, if you can get that and can put it into like the car comparison, if my son was 16 or daughter, and I wanted to get them a good, reliable car, I guess that's more what I'm asking. What would be that without breaking the bank?
Like you want to spend what, $3,000, $4,000?
A $5,000 car.
I mean, get an import with 100,000 miles, 110.
And they're good to go. Yeah. Solid.
It's all about the maintenance.
Yeah.
And how many people touches your car. Yeah. Like, my mom had a 98 RAV4. Yeah. That car's in Florida right now with almost 400,000 miles. Wow. And the engine hasn't been opened. And there was only one mechanic at the time, so I was the only one that worked on it. Wow. So she kept up with all the maintenance.
Yeah. And it's still down there. It's still running?
Yeah, it's in Orlando right now. My cousin got it.
Wow.
And it's going to 400,000.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the maintenance, because that's like a big thing, right?
Right now with all these new cars, you got to keep those oil changes.
Yeah.
Because the carbon kills everything.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I know back in the day it was kind of more of like, oh, if they tell you 3,000, you can go 4,000 and then bring it in.
No.
Now it's every 3,000. I feel like the sticker gets plotted on my truck.
Regular oil is 3,000.
And then synthetic is 6.
Synthetic, I don't trust. There's BMWs that they tell them once a year. Oil burns. Every car burns oil.
Yeah, once a year is weird. You're typically like at least twice a year.
And then you got some that go to 5,000-6,000 miles. I don't trust that.
Yeah.
Because people, it's not like, remember back in the day in the gas stations?
Yeah.
You would stop and they'll service, they'll check. They don't do that anymore.
Right.
So people don't get off and check their oil every week.
Sure. But I mean now there's different, the cars have technology wise grown.
Right.
So now there's lights are flashing or whatever. Diagnostics are different. Right? Did that change the way you do your business at all?
You just gotta buy more equipment.
Yeah. Because
it's more expensive for us to maintain our tools because they keep changing different computers and sensors.
Yeah. So I remember as a kid, my dad, he would work on his Chevelle. So my dad had a 69 Chevelle. He would pop open this hood that was like the size of this table and about like 400 pounds, right? Put it open, and it was a lot of metal and a lot of shiny, and it was just like, wow, there's a lot going on here, and it sounded awesome, and it had a very distinct smell, right? And you're just looking at it, he's like, bop, 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 and the whole thing's rattling. He's like, we're all yelling at each other. You can't hear anything.
Right.
And then to fast forward to now, where we just got my wife a new SUV, and a buddy of mine is like, let's see what's under the hood, because he's of that era, right? He's of that, like, you pop let's look at the engine thing. Right. We popped open the hood, and there was nothing to look at. It was all plastic. It was all covered. Like if there was something under it, it was covered.
You don't touch it.
Yeah.
For us to
the
touch
guard. Right. So is that gimmicky, or is that just like? Because, and then if you look at like the threads, it's like a wrench that like no one has in their basic toolbox. It's like, what is that?
Yeah, like German cars got different type of tools that you gotta use.
Yeah, like the pattern on them is like, it's a star you never seen.
Right, it's like inverted star.
Yeah.
Everything. You gotta buy a lot of tools.
And tools aren't cheap.
Nah, they're not cheap at all.
But they're an investment if you're a mechanic.
Yeah, they're an investment. I mean, you just spend all your money goes on tools.
Yeah.
Like, and then when you go sell them, you're not gonna get the same money.
Sure.
So on average, how much do you invest in tools? Let's just say
no lie, I've been in this business since I was 15. I got more than $100,000 in tools.
Yeah, you have to, because
and I'm still buying.
You have to, right?
Because I remember a kid who just had started, and I remember him telling me he just on a starter kit. He's like, dude, this works on like 2 cars, like 2 companies, right? Like GM and like Ford or whatever. And he's like, dude, that was $20,000. It was like his first big investment.
The car payment.
Yeah. And he's like, well, hopefully I can pay it off with the cars I fix. But you wouldn't think that, but it's true. But there is something to say about having the right tools, right?
Yes, because it makes the job quicker. And you don't break bolts. Yeah.
Oh, break.
Have you ever used the wrong tool? Or like
sometimes you use
just
the right tool
improvise?
to get the job done right. You gotta invent. Sometimes you don't want to buy the tool. You gotta make your own tool.
Yeah.
It's expensive.
How often do you run into that where you're there and you don't have a tool and you gotta kind of like think on the fly?
Well, in my shop we do everything, and so like sometimes we do cars that you need special tools, and we just get away by making our own tools or just doing it different.
I know rear main seals. Everybody's main seal is different. So if they tell you that you have to buy that tool that punches it in and it fits in nice, there is no way that you would have every single size, shape, whatever it is.
Well, there's a kit that has they sell the kit for
conversion kit?
All of them. Okay.
Yeah.
I
A little universal there.
I did it. We did a rear main seal, me and my cousin Dave, and we didn't have that. And I looked at him. I'm like, come on, man, really? We sat there, no lie, and when you talk about time, probably 45 minutes. He sat there with a little punch and went, pah, pah, just hit it little by little until it actually sealed. It probably came off by now. I mean, I got rid of the truck, but 45 minutes, something that probably would have took, I don't know.
You could have used the Goja beans can.
Yeah, you're probably right. Just bang that thing. But yeah, I know tools are the biggest.
Yeah, it gets expensive, but
so is there a car you won't work on, or a company that you won't work on?
No, I work on everything.
You do it because you like the challenge?
Yeah, I love working on everything. I mean, back in maybe 6 years ago, nobody wanted to touch Audis, and I had my parking lot full of Audis.
Yeah,
so I would work on them all. And
why?
Yeah, I guess the challenge and
but why were the Audis? What was it about the Audis?
Special tools, and people weren't used to. It's more labor to work on Audis than regular cars, like the timing belts.
You gotta remove like a whole bumper.
Front end, and people were confused, like, wow, why?
To change a light bulb, you had to remove like the air, the air filter. I remember just changing a bulb.
You had you got to take off the bumper.
Everything had to come out of that.
Headlights.
Wow.
They were
windshield. You have to take off the hood.
Well, So that makes it for us to make money. Because if you guys can do it, then I'm out of a job.
Right.
But it's true. That's what I was saying. So I would take my car. I could only take my car to a specific place because not everyone would want to work on. They didn't even care for it. I'm like, no, I don't have the tools for that. Or they would recommend a person.
No, there's people that come to me and say, oh, this guy don't want to work. I'm like, why? And to me, it would be something simple.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, well, I'll do it. But I'd be surprised, like some shops in the area won't. Sometimes, like, they don't even want to touch it because the kind of car.
Yeah.
So.
So what about outside of cars? Do you work on anything else, like anything?
Yeah, it's funny. You said that.
Yeah.
I just fixed my refrigerator.
Yeah. I wasn't thinking that, but
My ice maker went bad, and my wife kept saying, I said, listen, I'll do it. Just don't tell me every 6 months. I told you I'm going to do it.
Right.
I called the company, ordered the part, and changed the ice maker, and it works. And then the heater went out the shop last week, so I had to get it dirty and
figure that out.
And got it working. Anything that has to do mechanically, I think you can figure it out.
So what about small engines though? Like, would you work on that, or even like motorcycles?
Quads, lawnmowers, yeah.
Right,
are they all?
I got a lawnmower I got to bring over.
Are they are all the basic concepts the same in engines, or they work differently?
Pistons. What gets an engine going? You got air and fuel mixture. So it works the same. You got to have enough air and enough fuel for the spark to make the combustion.
Right.
All right. So I know at the end of every month, there's a line right outside of like almost every car mechanic shop because someone's brother, sister, son, daughter, wife, whatever, somebody forgot to get the car inspected, and it was due.
Let me correct you. Yeah. At the beginning of every month.
Yes. Or the beginning of every month. There you go.
Because they forgot last month.
Right. Last month. That's what it is.
So the week after.
The whole week. Like, let it go for the weekend.
Man, I need it now.
Yeah. How do you guys handle that?
Well, I'll have them leave the car and I take care of it the same day.
Yeah.
If they don't need repairs. If it passes, you can do a quick one, but if they need repairs, then they have to leave it.
Yeah, but they want it that day. They got bald tires and everything. They want it that day.
Can't let it go. Legally, I can't let it go.
Yeah.
So that's where I make
tough.
my money.
What was like one of the hardest conversations you had to have with somebody about their car?
About their car's the hardest conversation to pay.
Yeah, when someone probably couldn't afford it or whatever, and they're just
but they didn't want to pay that much.
After you already did the work,
you got all types of different excuses.
Yeah.
So like the hardest was when you promise a job and you sign, then they still want more discounts and they want lower and lower, and you're like, I can't. I already gave you.
Yeah.
And we already made a deal, and
yeah,
and they keep coming and coming. and you don't want to scream at them, you don't want to tell them off.
Right.
So finally, you convince them.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Labor is labor.
So how do you guys? How is it does a shop typically manage jobs, right? So if someone's coming in, do you have like a separate bay just for oil changes, a separate bay just for X, Y, and Z? Does it work that way, or you just kind of take them in the order?
Yes, I mean you pretty much pick them out. Like you got the day jobs and you got the ones that lay over.
Yeah.
So you pretty much just manage that, and then you got a program on the computer too. You can know how long the car's gonna take.
Yeah.
So that's like everything's on computer. Like whatever job you got, it's on the computer telling me how long that's gonna take regularly.
Is that
so I'm able to charge?
Is that industry standard? Like, is there a certain program? So every shop has
like
it.
Every shop got the same labor rate,
Mm-hmm.
not the price, but the labor rate.
Yeah.
Like
so
if the starter would take 3 hours, and anywhere it will tell you they'll charge you for the 3 hours.
Okay.
So if they take them 5 hours, they got to charge you the 3 hours.
Got
if it takes 1 hour, they got to charge you the 3 hours.
Yeah.
But that's like all around. That's how they do at the dealers. The dealers is all labor rate.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember when I detailed cars, it was labor rate. It was for every brand new car when we would detail them, they would pay us for 3 hours, and typically my goal was to get 3 cars done a day, which is 9 hours. But it'll take me a total of 4 hours, 5 hours to get the 3 cars done. So I would make my money that way. So they would have to pay me no matter what for the 3 hours for each car.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's how I stay on top of it. I mean, but there was times, like you say, there was times where I had to detail a car and it took more than 3 hours. It took 4 hours, but they only paid me for 3. So I had to work that extra hour for free. So it kind of balances itself out. That's that labor rate.
On repairs, it's easier for the dealers because they got all the parts already there.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And most of the cars are new.
Yeah.
So there's no obstacles.
Yeah.
For us, sometimes a bolt break or the part, you can't get it to the next day. So there's a car there laying, for time. So
there's a lot of these auto warehouses, right? They store, all the parts that, specific, I guess, auto mechanics in the area need, or they would typically order. Is that something where you have to have a contract with them, or you can just?
Some warehouses that only shops can buy from.
Okay.
And yeah, you gotta apply.
But like, so you have to order so much, like $10,000 worth of parts every month.
No.
It's just having the fact that
you just open an account and you just start ordering from them.
Gotcha. But it's not like a customer that can walk in. It's just a warehouse of they only deal with the mechanics.
Right, only with shops. And
so do you guys just focus on one, or is there, through the years you figured this guy's really good for this? Like, for example, for like arts and crafts, right? There's like an AC Moore and then there's a Michaels. Well, I don't think there's an AC Moore anymore, but if that was still the point, it was like everyone who was in crafts, and I know this because my mom used to knit, and she would go to AC Moore for specific things and Michaels for specific things, right? Is that the same way it works?
That's the same way, yes. Yeah. Because you have all different prices. And you go to Amazon too.
Yeah.
Because now Amazon's going to be like next day delivery or the same day.
That is amazing.
How much do you buy from Amazon?
I just started because I just realized how much some stores rip you off. And when not rip you off, it's just that they can charge
cheaper?
whatever because it's right there.
Right.
And I can get the next day for like the third of what they're charging me.
Yeah.
So if the customer's willing to wait, I'll be able to give them a discount like that, But like if a store right now has it and it's $300,
yeah,
and everybody else don't have it, I gotta pay those $300. But if I can wait till the next day, I can pay $150. So that's the thing right now.
So you shop around. I know like the biggest thing that most people can look up, and I don't know what it is about it, but can look up and also kind of verify the price range themselves, and it's super competitive, is the tire market, right?
Right.
Because I can go to a place that just does tires. I can physically go online, and I know it's not that hard to put in
Tire
the size of my
yeah.
tire and everything I need, and then find it online for very cheap, and then just buy them, have them shipped to my house, and I bring them over to you, and you pop them on. How do you guys get around that? I know obviously a lot of it's just a convenience that you could take care of all of that. When it comes to something like that, where kind of a customer it's almost like when you're buying a car, right? So if I'm buying a car, I can see what this dealership's paying, going to charge me. So there's a lot. I have, a little bit of knowledge where you can't just say a random crazy price because they're Pirellis.
Exactly, yeah. Well, matter of fact, that's one of my problems right now, that I can't compete with Walmart. I can't compete with all those big tire places.
Yeah.
Because I can get them cheap.
Yeah.
But they're selling it for how I'm getting them cheap.
Right. There's no profit for you.
Right. I'm like, wow. I'm getting, they're the same price I'm paying to buying them. They're selling them to people out there.
Yeah.
It's because the big franchises, they buy by bulk. So they get them way cheaper. And I get them, so you can't compete with them. The internet, you can get them cheap sometimes, but
Shipping is what kills you.
yeah, and then you got to pay somebody to put them on.
Yeah.
So it becomes the same thing.
Well, and then you could be, me not knowing what I was doing at this particular time. I ordered rims and tires for my truck, and when I went to check out, my screen, not the whole screen, but like half the screen turned red, and I'm like, what the heck? And it was a warning, and it said for the truck year, make, and model that you put in, these wheels, we don't recommend it. And I thought that was like, this was the first time I've ever purchased rims or anything online. And I just thought, I'm like, oh yeah, that's, of course. But this is going to be, this is different because I know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Very different. So I ordered these dang things, and sure enough, my buddy puts them on. I took it to a shop. He put them on, did everything the right way. And he's like, dude. I'm like, what? He's like, these things are rubbing, man. He's like, you can't even turn like 3 inches to the left or the right, and it's rubbing up against your wheel well. I'm like, dag. I guess that's what that red screen was for. This place had no returns, but I finagled my way. I finagled my way back, and I got my money back.
Oh,
but,
yeah?
I was lucky.
I would put spacers on it, customize and make it look nice.
Yeah. See, yeah, but that was the thing. He wasn't like he wouldn't. It was like
Wasn't outside the box thinker.
nah, man. He was just like very dry cut. Like if this works, this works. I'll put him on. And it was like, dude, you're acting like you're doing it for free or something. Like he had his own shop and everything. I'm like, I'm paying you. But yeah, I sent them back, and but I lost $200 because they won't refund
The
shipping.
Yeah.
But that was a $200 lesson learned.
Won't do that again.
That lasts a lifetime. I don't know. I kind of think it was worth the $200. Like moving on, I'm like, I'm not buying rims. I don't need to buy them.
Yeah, but now anytime there's a red alert or red flag on anything you purchase, don't do it.
Right.
We would have made it fit, man. We would have made it look nice.
Yeah.
So
It looked good, dude. You should have seen it. I mean, it was beautiful. Like it looked good, but my wife was gonna be driving. I'm like, I can't have her driving this, dude. You should turn the tire pops. You know what I mean? I'm like, I can't.
You can only drive straight.
So I have a question for you as far as parts are concerned. So you have all these aftermarket options. Is OEM that much better than some of these aftermarket products? Obviously, there's low end, and then there's kind of like bang for your buck, and then aftermarket premium stuff, and there's OEM.
Standard.
What's the deal? Well, break it down for me.
I'd rather not buy cheap for your car, safety wise.
Right. So
And-
brakes
and
are like the
last.
big thing, right? People are like, oh, I can get brakes
you
and
get
rotors
cheap
for
brakes that the parts places around here, but they're gonna make noise. They're gonna mess up your rotors.
right.
That happened to me. That also happened to me.
Yeah.
That happened to me.
Within 9 months, I had to replace everything. But anyway, whatever. It
Well,
is.
with parts,
Yeah, but with
you
parts.
got the dealer parts,
Yeah.
and you got aftermarket OEM. Well, sometimes the dealer parts are not as good as the aftermarket.
Yeah.
Because aftermarket already seen how the dealer parts acted, so they try to make it better.
Like upgrade them a little bit.
Exactly.
And what parts would you recommend to go aftermarket and not OEM?
Name brand.
What name brands or do you recommend?
You got Moog, Monroe, brands that just like gasoline. You want to use name brand.
Right.
So I remember one of my buddies. Actually, it was not really like a buddy. It was like a buddy of my older brother's. And we went to a car show, and he got. This was when like carbon fiber hoods was like the thing to get. I mean, that was the alteration you wanted to make to your new little car or whatever that you got. And he got an aftermarket hood, and this thing it wouldn't close, but he still put it on. Yeah, it wouldn't fit. I'm like, this dude's forcing the style on this.
And it will crack.
I'm like, that thing is gonna go flying. He's gonna get in a car accident. But it was a great example in my mind. I was like a teenager at the time. Like, I'm not buying. This is junk. Like, I would never buy that. But it speaks to what you're saying there nowadays. I'm sure that was like almost 20 years ago at this point.
Some stuff you gotta modify it.
Yeah.
It's aftermarket, and they'll make it, not exact fit, but then you have to modify it and make it fit and make it safe, like with the hoods like that.
Yeah. Speaking of customizing, is there anything that you do with like drag racing?
No, I don't drag race no more. I used to, but not no more.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah,
it's expensive.
It's a lot of
It's
blown
a lot
money.
of money, and the competition out there are big dogs, and
Yeah.
you see them on the tracks.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money, and
Yeah.
you need like a big money team.
Yeah, you need the sponsorships and everything.
It's 15-20 grand a summer, and that's doing like light alterations.
The cars are like 60 grand.
Yeah.
And
they're trashing them in a quarter mile.
Yeah, and it's like the competition's too big.
Yeah.
It's not no more that you can buy parts at a junkyard and fix it and go race. Now you got computer programmer.
Yeah.
And everything. So
You got the dyno machines. They know exactly how fast they're gonna do.
That's why I got
they know
into
when the
Jeeps.
freaking change gears.
That's why I got into
That's why you went to Jeeps.
Go in the mud and no competition. Everybody help each other out.
It's not. But that's also that could be pricey too. I mean, I've seen dudes flip their thing or break the axles because they're rock climbing and doing all this crazy stuff. I mean,
I like going just trailing in the mud.
Yeah.
You get a winch and you pull yourself out. You go home and clean the Jeep, power wash it.
So what's the fascination with Jeeps? It's not just you. Like there's a massive fascination.
Like a cult following.
Yeah.
Really
I mean,
is.
Heck had my brother here had a Jeep too, and he was into that stuff.
Just being in the woods, man, the trails, what the Jeep can do.
Yeah.
You go up hills, you go in the mud, you go into the creeks, or even in the snow.
It's a little adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
What
It's like riding like a quad.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah, that's more of adrenaline though, riding a quad. I mean, the adrenaline with the Jeep is it's like shifting the gears. All right, so you're in too low or you're in too regular. You're not gonna make it. You go to too high, and then too low. You feel that torque coming out. You're like, dang, this thing just jumped right out of the mud, and you just keep it going.
yeah, it's like one time I got stuck in the mud, and then my friend came in. He pulled me out with a winch. And I was pissed. I'm like, man, this is a Jeep.
Yeah.
And he, I was in there for a while trying to get out, and nothing. And he comes, pull me out with a winch, and I got out, and I'm like, nah. I hit reverse, went back into the mud. I said, this thing gotta get out. So I tried a different way, and it finally got out by itself. I'm like, yeah, yes.
But there's a will, there's a way.
It's a Jeep. Gotta come out.
That's funny.
That's crazy.
All right, so switching things up again, going back to routine maintenance. Typically, how often should someone rotate their tires? Does that come along with the mileage that they're putting on?
Well, there's mileage on it. The company says it, but I try to tell people every 2 oil changes.
Yeah.
Just to keep the life of the tire. Every 2 oil changes do the tire rotation.
So
I believe that's like very. I'm not gonna say
Underrated?
accurate. No, I'm not say accurate, but so I had a Jeep and I had mud tires on it, and I rotated the tires every other oil change, and now they're mud tires, and I had them with 0 mileage. When I got rid of the Jeep with the tires, they were only supposed to last maybe 25 to 30,000 miles. I got rid of them with 50,000 miles on it, and they still had tread to them.
Yeah.
because of the rotation
Right.
and the equal
And the
balance.
air.
And I kept the air pressure proper and the balance of the tires and make sure
Right.
that
The
your
old
suspension
Mickey
was right.
Thompson's there.
They were Mickey Thompson MTZs.
Nice.
It was a nice Jeep. What about a tune-up, right? Can you explain to a lot of people confused what a
Yeah,
tune-up
what is a
is
tune-up?
and how often should you get a tune-up?
I do complete tune-ups that last at least 3 years.
Okay, so explain
what is
what's a tune-up
Alright.
consists of, because
All
if you
cars are
if you ask my one uncle, he'll say change the spark plugs, that's a tune-up,
Right.
and get an oil change,
Right.
that's it, right? And then if you ask another uncle, he wants to rebuild the entire engine, that's a tune-up. I'm like that's not a tune-up,
That's a rebuild.
You just rebuilt the whole engine.
All
You know what I mean?
right. So I'm gonna be selfish. I have a 2012 Toyota Camry. Got 140,000 miles on it. What should a tune-up consist of?
Complete tune-up, you got oil change and filter.
Mhm.
You got the spark plugs.
Mhm.
You got the wires. You got the air filter, fuel filter, PCV valve. And you clean your intake. That's it. And you calibrate whatever you got to calibrate with the computer.
That's it.
That's a complete tune-up.
And that job will take what? The better part of a day?
I'll take a couple hours.
That's
It's
it.
more of where the
Depending if
spark
it's 4
plugs.
cylinders. Yeah, exactly. You got vans that you got to take everything apart and
Oh, jeez.
your legs hanging out the window. So, it's fun.
Yeah. So what's your favorite manufacturer to work on?
Right to work on.
Somebody comes in with this.
I used to like
this
Audi.
make.
Now, my favorite car right now is a Lexus, but I like them all.
So your favorite car is a Lexus, meaning like that's what the car you would drive right now.
Like right now, if I have money, I'll buy me that 2-door Lexus that came out.
With the
The
With
F.
F1. I think
Yeah,
it's called
yeah,
F1. Yeah.
My buddy Ruben has. The-
Yes,
the
the,
F-
black one. Yes, he brought it to the
Oh
shop.
yeah,
I
yeah.
almost
Oh,
slapped him.
That's a sweet car.
That's bad car, man.
Tesla. How do you feel?
Tesla.
Will it take your job away from you?
No.
Will it take your job away?
Still got brakes.
You went from like
It's still got brakes.
because there's
it
no
got
motor,
tires.
Right.
And I just gotta keep going to school for that stuff.
You've
And,
got-
and then I got my son coming along that he's gonna
Right.
get into
So-
it too. So that's his job now.
so I just seen a
When it's all electric, I retire and he takes over. I'm done.
it's electric boogie. I literally just saw an article in Forbes, and Elon Musk with the new vehicle that just came out is now worth. He just earned $2.1 billion. They just said, "Oh, Elon Musk is now $2.1 billion richer," right? And Tesla is worth more than GM and Ford put together. It's the biggest car company in the world that the world has ever seen, hands down. Or in America, I should say. Is that not a crazy thought, though? Like, for how new a company is compared to how fast it went. So he went through this the SpaceX thing, right? So he comes out with a car, and then he has all these investments, and he's doing all this crazy stuff, and he leaves basically like his role working on the car and does all this stuff to go out or to go to around the moon or whatever the heck he wanted to do. And the company kind of dipped, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he kind of pushes that to the side. He's like, all right, I need to focus back. And when he focuses back, he then starts breaking all kinds of records because it's really him. Everyone realizes it's really him behind everything that's really making this sell. And it's very attractive, right? You have something that you can just charge. It's kind of like our phones. Imagine if we had to put gas in our phones. I mean, it's obnoxious, right?
Right.
But you can just plug it in. You're good to go, and you're ready to. You didn't really bother anything. You have electric already running through your house,
Solar panels.
and now you have solar panels, and that's gonna probably just be normal for everyone. And I'm sure my kids, that's gonna be normal for them to have. And they're gonna be like, what's a gas bill? I think the crazy part for me is how fast it all happened. Right, so you come out with these cars. You think about Ford in the early 1900s, over 100 years ago, and they progress, and then some guy comes along and just dismantles that entire system and creates something totally different. Right, it is kind of scary in a way to think, and he's bigger than two of the biggest, what we grew up on. in a matter of 10 years or whatever it was. When you see stuff like that, do you actually have a concern, or you're just kind of in your era? You could ride out another 20 years and no matter.
Man, we got a long way to go.
Yeah,
I mean, those cars came out a long time ago. You know, like some stuff that come out, a lot of companies buy out the blueprints and don't let it come out.
yeah,
Like they'll have I remember back in the day, there was an engine that wouldn't break, and I believe Ford bought it and
trashed it.
trashed it because they don't create jobs.
Right,
So that's the whole point for Ford was, to have jobs out there for
Right.
mechanics.
Yeah.
Well, this new technology, all that stuff, I mean, you just got to keep up with it,
right.
so.
Because it has changed, right? I mean, we even something as simple as a standard now. I mean, they don't even come with. A lot of new cars don't even come with CD players or anything, but
Yeah.
a standard now is like a touchscreen monitor that's on the dash. That was, something that because, a car company, they've did it in the past, but all it was just navigation or something, or just a radio. Now this thing's like you could literally surf the web and watch there's all kinds of stuff.
What was it? Nissan, 1990. The lady used to speak to you. The doors open, the lights are on.
Oh yeah.
Remember the Maxima and
the Maxima and the
340.
Yep.
It was all computerized. That
Yeah.
was like,
That was high tech then.
yeah. Your lights are on.
Yeah,
Doors
I was
ajar.
talking to me. Yeah.
such a great word, ajar. So where do you think it's gonna go from here?
Well, I think they're still testing stuff out.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the Tesla driving by itself. It crashed.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they're still testing a lot of stuff. I still got a long way to go.
absolutely.
And then it's just less backbreaking when you're fixing cars now.
Yeah,
After all that comes up, it's just electrical stuff,
yeah. That's
brakes
true.
and tires. You got suspension. You still got work on the cars,
Yeah.
but just less headaches for the engines, I guess.
All right, so switching things, we'll switch back. The electric car thing, I just find it to be fascinating, right? Because when one of the first ones came out, I believe it was like the Prius, the Toyota came out with it, and it was like if you got it, people almost made fun of you, like, oh, you're corny, it's not going that direction. Why would you buy that?
Yeah,
For
the
whatever
Prius.
reason, whatever Tesla came out with, it people gravitated towards, and
Big
it
bucks.
just blew up. But then he
It was
also
big
made
bucks.
something that was reasonably priced too, right? I mean, he
It was
came out with a
reasonably priced.
$35,000 car, brand new.
Yeah, that's still a note.
Of course it is.
But I mean, and think about it, the fact that it's electric,
It's complete.
and it's going a heck of a lot faster than some of these other cars in 0 to 2.
Electric is got
Right?
torque.
Right, it's got
Yeah.
that power. I mean, I've seen races go on
Yeah,
where this
yes.
one guy goes against a Supra,
Right.
Yeah.
right?
Street
And he
track.
goes and he races a Tesla SUV.
Right.
Who's neck and neck? The Tesla's out of here.
with
It's
the,
book it.
with the doors
With
open,
the
like
doors
the dude started
open, like
getting
he was trying to
cocky.
take
Had the
off, and I'm
doors
like,
open, it was amazing.
There's no way
It's that
this thing.
torque.
Dude,
it's
he want to end
crazy.
up in like in a fist fight because the
Yeah.
guy didn't want to give him the money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's powerful, man.
It's crazy.
Wasn't there
Electric.
something recently that doesn't Tesla challenged Ford or something to like the SUV thing, like their truck that they just came out with
The
Why is
pickup
it-
truck. Yeah.
The Tesla truck?
But no, I think they challenged like to saying like, oh, the new truck that they put out will go head to head with like I guess the Ford F-150, whatever it was.
Yeah.
With towing and
With,
all that. Right?
for towing and torque and all that.
I want to see it
probably.
off road.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I want to see
Yeah,
the
yeah.
handle.
Torque off road if you get stuck because of the torque.
Yeah, or if the battery
No.
drains out because you're spinning your tires.
Exactly. They got to do a Tesla Jeep. I'm down.
A Tesla Jeep. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
That's the next one.
Interesting.
Speaking of crazy, what has been one of the, interesting interactions you had with a customer, whether it was just, or what was like one of the, craziest or funniest reasons why someone brought a car to you?
The funniest thing, why? Funny is not funny when they gotta pay. They laugh. To me laughing at their face, like, oh, that's funny. Wow. Nah, but craziest thing that happened to me in the car, I was doing a heater core, and there was a snake inside the car. A python, I think it was. Yeah.
What did you do?
I'm under there, you got your legs out
Yeah.
the window, your head inside under the dash. I'm looking, to take stuff out. and I felt something like looking at me. So I took my little flashlight, look, and there was an eye. I'm like, oh, crap. I got out there, man. I told my boss, I said, man, there's a snake in the car. They're like, what? I said, yeah. So he calls the customers, like, oh, is there a reason why there's a snake in your car? He said, man, I last like a week ago.
Oh, my
So
goodness.
there it is. I'm like, oh, man, he was pulling it out.
So
I'm
it was
like,
his pet.
wow. Yeah.
Well, I thought you were gonna. I was trying to give you like an alley-oop because the one time, it's a normal day. I typically try to warm up both my car and my wife's car. It just depends on timing because sometimes she leaves like an hour later than I do, and there's no sense of starting her car that soon. But there was one day where we were kind of leaving relatively at the same time, like within 10 minutes of each other. So I'm like, I'm going to start your car. And her car wouldn't start. And I'm like, what is going on? So I was like, I don't know what's going on with the car, but it's not starting. She's like, oh, yeah, sometimes you got to, she was trying to tell me about it. I'm like, oh, God, all right. So she comes out, she's like in her robe, and boom, and she's like, it's not starting. I'm like, yeah, I know. That's what I'm trying to tell you. We got to figure something out. I don't know what the heck's going on. So I call the tow company. They come pick it up. I'm like, yeah, take it to George's garage, wherever he was. I take it to him. I think I dropped my wife off at her job, and then I drove all the way back to my job. And around lunchtime, I called George. I'm like, yo, and it was winter. It was cold. It was bricks this morning, right? I'm like, yo, did you check the car? He's like, no, not yet. I'll check it out after lunch. I'm like, oh, all right. I call him back. Yo, George, what's up? He's like, I don't know what's wrong. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, the car started right up. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, there's not. He's like, I think you want to show off. You want to show me your car or something, dude. I'm like, and I thought he was kidding. He's like, I'd be ready for you, blah, 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 5 o'clock. I'm like, all right, I'll come pick it up. I go over there, and I'm like, so what's wrong? He's like, nothing. I'm like, so the car starts. He's like, the car starts. I'm like, dude, there wasn't a fluke, man. I tried it this morning. He's like, I have no idea. So I pulled off and went home. The car started. Is that not an odd thing? Does that happen normally, or is that just weird?
It happens normal. I mean, if your car didn't start, you get a tow and it starts. I can't check why because now everything's working
back to
normal.
Yeah.
Like it could be the battery connectors wasn't tight enough, but
Could it be possible that this is what I thought of when his scenario, his driveway's on an incline? So could the gas line could have drained out and went back to the tank, or no?
But wasn't it cranking? But it wasn't cranking. It was
it
just
didn't do
doing
anything.
nothing.
Did nothing.
Oh, it did nothing.
Yeah, it wasn't doing
It was
so
like
it had
we're
nothing to
pressing
do
it. The radio would turn on, but it wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, could that not
Sometimes, it happens.
But like in
happens
general, that
'cause-
could happen because the incline, like the angle that it's sitting in.
Right, if you have real low gas, that
Right.
happens.
Yeah. Low. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
All right, so this is a question we like to ask all of our guests, and it's very informative and helpful for the listeners to get different perspectives. The question is, how do you manage work-life balance, right? So sometimes we get so caught up in our work, putting countless hours in, but you kind of feel something like, all right, I got to head back home. We got to balance this out a little bit. And now I do understand that there's kind of like you have to do those days, or there's going to be a week or two that's going to be like that, work. But how do you kind of bring it back to balance your life out?
Man, you own your own business is tough.
Yeah.
Because you yourself got to be there from beginning to the end.
Yeah.
Everybody leaves at 5.
Yeah, right.
My wife said, if everybody left at 5, what are you still doing there?
Right.
I got to paperwork, it's tough. But, I try to work it in the weekends,
Yeah.
Make no plans with nobody, just with them.
Yeah.
Or plan a vacation or something like. Right now, my son comes to the shop after school.
Yeah.
So I spend a lot of time with him because he works on cars too.
Yeah.
So that's one. And with the wife, just got to spend all weekend with her.
Yeah.
But it's tough being an owner because you really can't be like, yo, all right, I'm taking off 2 days.
Yeah, right.
Unless you got everything set up already where you got managers and all these types of workers. But when you do everything, when you're a one-man show, it's tough. It's tough to share life with their family.
Yeah.
Like I said, that's my home.
Right.
At the shop, that's my home. I go to the other place to make sure they got food and sleep, and come back to home.
Right.
That's the way it is.
So, what is your recommendation on someone who wants to fix their own car and not go to a professional?
Fix their own car. They gotta be mechanically inclined first.
Yeah.
You know, it's like me going. If I had hair, cutting my own hair.
Right.
You know, it would look funny, right?
Yeah.
Dude? I mean, I got experience cutting my own hair, but you know.
Well, because there's a lot of people. I mean, there's.
Oh yeah, they YouTube stuff.
Yeah.
And eventually they end up coming to me because they broke something.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I mean, there's people that change their own oil.
Yeah.
But like, again, cars are getting made so complicated that's why they got all the covers. You open the hood and like, oh, where's this? Where's that?
Yeah.
So you don't touch it.
Yeah.
Mercedes, BMW come with no dipstick.
Yeah.
So you know, and everything's electronic now. You need a computer to know how much fluid you got in your car. So I mean, it's not impossible because, you know, I'm fixing my refrigerator.
Right.
So
Right.
you know, I didn't have to close ears.
Yeah.
But I mean, YouTube and Google, they taking over. So
Yeah.
I can't really say, oh no, you can't do it. Sometimes I use Google. You have to,
Yeah.
you know.
All right. So if anyone wants to, set up an appointment with you or take their car to you, what's your contact? How can they reach you? What's your phone number or address?
My address is 41 Cedar Lane in Morrisville, PA, 19067. The shop phone number is 215-736-8800. I'm there from 9 to 7 and from Monday to Saturday. Saturdays, I leave early, like around 3.
Okay.
And I do all types of repair, everything.
All right. So you heard it, folks. We like to close things out with quotes, and the first one is by John Wooden. Things work out best for those who make the best out of how things work out. And the second one is by Steve Jobs. The only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking. Don't settle. All right, Auto Mechanic. In this episode, we have special guest Jorge Vasquez. We cover topics that range from repairing cars, inspections, customer service, tools, automobiles of the future, and much more. We wrap the episode up with quotes from Steve Jobs and John Wooden. Awesome. Guys, thanks again for joining us. The Rotated Views podcast was produced for self-development purposes. Huge shout out to our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by the Blessed Lifestyle brand. That is BL3SSED.com. Also sponsored by The Motivation Files Unleashed. This motivational mixtape will be your fuel for success. Available on all platforms. Guys, don't forget to visit the website, JimmyleeVelez.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Rotated Views. If you have any inquiries or questions, email us at info@JimmyleeVelez.com. On behalf of myself and the rest of the crew, we wish you massive success. Stay blessed.